How do you get through the holidays when you're single? On this episode of Intentional Dating with Sara, I'm going to share with you how I survived my worst Christmas from when I was a single mom and what I learned that can help you. I'm going to share with you how you can cope with your feelings that are common to being single around the holidays, feelings such as loneliness, loss, grief. And I'm going to share with you how you can plan for the holidays in a way that makes you look forward to them instead of dreading them. Share this video if you get value from it, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to check out my free guide linked down below on the 3 essential steps to finding the relationship of your dreams if you are interested in dating. So let's get into it. I'm going to share with you my story of my worst Christmas that I went through whenever I was single. So this was post-divorce. I was single. I had 3 young kids at the time, and my kids were going to be going with their dads on Christmas Day, which was already something I was a little bit upset about because, of course, in those changes of being divorced, becoming a single mom, now there's other things happening. We're not all together at home on Christmas Day necessarily, and maybe that's something that you're dealing with as well. And so I set up a nice day for myself. I knew my kids were going to be going at a certain time, they were going to be leaving, and so I decided I was going to take myself out to the movies. I don't usually go to the movies. I thought it would be like a little treat for me. We have this movie theater where they've got the reclining heated seats, and I thought it would be a good, relaxing time. So I looked to see what was playing. I picked out a movie that I thought was going to be something that was going to be uplifting. It was a musical, so I thought it was going to be very exciting and fun and happy and all of that. And so I was excited to go do that, and then I was going to get myself some dinner and just hang out, and I thought it was going to be a great day. So what wound up happening instead is I went to the movie theater, got my, snack and all that, got my heated seat set up and all of that, and I start watching this movie. It wasn't too long into the movie that I realized this is not a typical musical. This is not something that is happy and, upbeat and everything. And I kept waiting to see, the ending's going to be really good, right? I was very, very wrong. This was a tragedy. This was a terrible storyline. It was not something upbeat and happy at all. It was a tragedy that I did not know I was putting myself into. So the end of the movie was terrible. Pretty much lots of the main characters died. It was bad. I was so upset. So what do I do in that situation? I gathered my stuff at the end of the movie. I left the movie theater. I went out to my car and I just cried and cried and cried in my car. I was so upset. Now, I wasn't only upset at just the movie, right? But it was like the tip of the iceberg. I was upset that I couldn't spend my Christmas with my kids. I was upset at the circumstances I was in of being a divorced woman and now being alone on Christmas. I was upset that things were different than they used to be and different than what I had hoped for my life. And so I just had all of these feelings, and guess what? I just let them out. I just sat there and cried, and it was honestly terrible. And so I reached out to a friend. I was texting him and I told him, what was going on, and he was trying to, make it better and comfort me and stuff like that. He invited me over to his house, but I decided I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be alone. And I was also dealing with feelings of feeling like I was somehow a loser. Like I didn't want to show up at his house and he's got his family there and they're all having a good time. And here I am with nothing to do on Christmas. And I just felt like I was a loser. And so I didn't want to do that. So what I did was I just sat in that parking lot and I just let myself cry. I just let me get it all out. And then what I did is I gathered myself together when I was done. I looked up a restaurant that was open on Christmas and I decided I was still going to take myself to get a meal like I wanted to do because that's something I enjoy doing. I went to the restaurant, got my meal, and I decided I was going to go home and watch a movie that I knew was not an epic tragedy. So it wasn't the time that I was looking for. It wasn't what I was hoping for. It was very different than what I envisioned, but I was still able to kind of redeem it a little bit. I didn't let that time at the movie theater ruin the entire day. I didn't let it stop me. I was able to continue on with my day and to try to build it back up a little bit. And I was able to honor myself in knowing I did just kind of want to be alone. And so I went ahead and declined the invitation to go over to his house, and I went home and still made the best of it. So there's a few things from this experience that I can now share with you. And the first thing is make sure that when you're facing the holidays alone, that you do make a plan for yourself. Make a plan for something that sounds fun to you, something that you can enjoy, something that maybe you don't always do, or something that you do on occasion, but you're making it special for this day. That is one of the keys to getting through the holidays when you're single, is you make them something that you're excited about, something that you can look forward to. I do talk about this in some of my other videos. I have a video on date yourself, and I have a video on surviving Valentine's Day when you're single. And it talks about this as well. Make sure you do things for yourself to take care of yourself and to give yourself a good and fun time. The next thing that you can do for that is you just simply change your mindset from I have to do this alone, or I'm going here alone, or I'm by myself. So change your mindset from those statements to I get to do this. I get to go do this even by myself. I'm having a great time by myself. I have plans that I'm looking forward to for the holidays. If you just make that one mindset shift, it can make this so much easier for yourself. Remember, you can make plans by yourself, or you can make plans with other people. If you are somebody that likes to be around other people and that would help you to have a better holiday, then go ahead and make plans with other people. Don't be afraid to ask somebody, even if you don't get an invite. You can always ask somebody, hey, what are you doing around the holidays? Would I be able to join you? Most people would be excited and happily accept you into their home and into their plans. So if you're somebody that wants to be around other people, seek out plans that can help make that a good day for you. If you're somebody that wants to be alone, like I wanted to be, I was going to have a good day by myself, then make some plans that will help you to have a great day, even when you're by yourself. And then when you're thinking about New Year's is kind of a holiday that we also think of as for couples. We think of people having their kiss whenever the ball drops and all of that stuff, but it doesn't have to be that way. And so when you're thinking about surviving New Year's, you can also make plans with friends. There's tons of events, usually locally, that you can go to that are for families or that are just for anybody to come to, right? For years, what I did is I just stayed home and played games with my kids. So if you have kids, that's an option for you. If New Year's is something that you want to celebrate, then just seek out an event or something to do that looks like something that you would be interested in and would be fun. The next thing that I can share with you about my time after that movie theater that can maybe help you is to feel your feelings. So I didn't want to be upset on Christmas, right? I didn't want to be in my car crying, but when I left that movie theater, I knew that that's what I needed to do. Sometimes the worst thing that we can do with our feelings is to stuff them, is to ignore them, is to sweep them under the rug and just save them for another day, which may not ever come. And so I knew sitting there, I'm going to just let myself cry. I'm going to let myself feel lonely. I'm going to let myself feel the loss and the grief of what I had been through, and that I was celebrating this holiday alone, right? I was going to sit there and just let myself get it all out. Sometimes that is the best thing that we can do. But what you need to do after that is make sure you don't stay there. So have your time where you can feel those feelings. Have your time where you can let those feelings out, but make sure you're able to pick yourself back up and not stay there. Just like I did whenever I decided, okay, it's time now for me to go get myself something to eat. So I was able to stay in those feelings, and then I decided I'm going to pick myself up and continue with my day and do something else that I enjoy. And then another tip that goes along with feeling your feelings is that you don't always need to believe your feelings. Sometimes our feelings are deceptive, right? The Bible tells us that the heart is very deceptive. And so we want to make sure that whatever feelings we're feeling or whatever thoughts are coming into our mind that are fueling those feelings, that we are not believing all of them. We need to look at these thoughts, just like the Bible says, and take our thoughts captive and renew our mind. What that means is when you have a thought that's making you feel a certain way, we need to look and see, is this true or is this not? And if it is a thought that we decide is not true, we need to replace that with the truth. So when I was thinking, I'm a loser because I'm all alone on Christmas, what I needed to do was replace that thought with the truth of no, I have great value. I'm an important person. God values me and thinks that I am important to him. And so I'm going to replace that thought of I'm a loser with the truth of no, I am important in God's eyes. I have worth. I am a good person. And that thought and that feeling that I was having is not true. And so I'm going to take that captive and I'm going to replace it with the truth. And then the next thing I want you to remember from my experience is that God can make beauty from ashes. You need to remember that your circumstance right now does not always have to stay the same. Things can get better. God can redeem situations, as he did in my case. If you've ever heard the phrase, a bad day doesn't make you a bad mom, we can also apply that here. A bad moment on a holiday doesn't need to make it a bad holiday as a whole, or it doesn't have to ruin your view of the holidays in the future just because you had a bad time at this holiday. And so I could have said, I hate Christmas now. This is the worst holiday. I'm never going through this again. But I can remember that that was just one Christmas day that I've had in my life, and I've been able to have many good ones after that. So one bad moment or one bad holiday doesn't need to taint all of the rest of them. And then remember, it's just a day. So if you're thinking about upcoming Christmas, if you're thinking of upcoming New Year's, just remember it's just a day. You can celebrate that day any other time. Now, I know it doesn't make it the same. However, you can hype it up to yourself and to your kids, if you have kids, that this can still be a good and exciting time. So maybe you're not going to have your kids on Christmas Day, or maybe you have to work that day. And so you're going to hype it up that this year we're going to do Christmas on the 27th, and it's going to be so much fun, and we're going to bake cookies or whatever it may be that you and maybe your family or your kids can get excited about. But remember, it's just a day. Christmas is just a day. New Year's is just a day. Valentine's Day is just a day. Be sure to check out my video on surviving Valentine's Day also to get through that holiday. So it is so important to look at these holidays and realize that they don't have to be terrible when you're single. You can actually have very good holidays when you're single. Make sure that you are making a plan so that you have plans that you can look forward to and get excited about so that you are not dreading the holiday. Next, make sure that you feel your feelings. If you're having feelings of loss and loneliness around the holidays, you need to make sure that you set some time that you can feel those feelings and you can grieve instead of stuffing them. That's going to help you so much more in the future to move forward. Realize it won't always be like this, and that things can be redeemed and God can bring beauty from ashes. And then remember, it's just a day. Don't forget to grab my free guide linked below this video if you are interested in dating so that you can learn the 3 steps to finding the relationship of your dreams. Share this video with someone that could use it. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.